Benjamin says that before the advent of mechanical reproduction of imagery, notably with photography, that the image was defined in what he called the aura, that it had a sacred quality, that it had a touch of the divine to it, because so rare were images in people's experiences that it seemed magically, almost in a kind of godlike way, to be a slice of reality itself. And for Benjamin, this was an incredibly powerful thing.
Taking and publishing unauthorized photographs of people is an ethical issue. Amateur photographers in particular play an important role in provoking outrage, which only amplifies concerns of privacy ethics. Privacy can be breached during any number of scenarios. A traveler taking photos abroad, a partygoer perhaps, capturing incriminating snapshots, or a photojournalist, researcher, or reporter performing their work. What is privacy, and why and how do various cultures value it?
I think that digital photography, more than anything else, is underwriting the, if not the death, the slow strangulation of privacy as we knew it. Now, that's not necessarily a bad thing. We only object to and get morally concerned about privacy as we define privacy. And so if the definition of privacy changes, our response to what might be apparent violations of that privacy also change.
An article published in the Harvard Law Review states, "Privacy is central to dignity and individuality, or personhood. Privacy is also indispensable to a sense of autonomy, to a feeling that there is an area of an individual's life that is totally under his or her control, an area that is free from outside intrusion." In this age of advanced technology and cheap cameras, what is an appropriate ethical standpoint in regard to the photographing of others? Considering that more than 31 million camera-equipped cell phones were sold in North America in 2004 alone, ethical concerns surrounding privacy issues will not disappear anytime soon. Where does one draw the line, then, between snapping a spontaneous photo and violating the personal privacy rights of others?
I was on a river trip in Ethiopia on the Omo River, and it was the people were really quite hostile, and there was a lot of rocks being thrown, and just marauding warrior types with machine guns and spears who weren't very happy. And I wasn't taking pictures because of that reason. It was pretty clear that they didn't want their picture taken. The more we looked into it, and we had a local guide with us, and he kind of explained that true warriors there, or young men looking for respect, it's part of the culture there is to steal and rob and intimidate, and that's they did a great job of that. So I didn't get many shots on that trip.
Photojournalists are expected to follow the legal standard of a reasonable expectation of privacy. But that definition is vague enough to be construed in almost any way imaginable. Visual data differs so fundamentally from verbal or numerical data because anonymity is harder to ensure. Ethical thinking along these lines inspires one to revisit with a more critical eye the National Geographic photo spreads that have been published over the years, including photographs of sacred sites, rituals, wartime horrors, and/or human suffering. Photography, as it turns out, is an ethics-laced occupation which photojournalists often find themselves negotiating within the framework of. Even today, journalists continue to disagree over such issues as whether the use of personal photographs without permission is justified. Take, for example, a case in Oklahoma, where the father of an Oklahoma Army National Guard soldier killed in Iraq sued when photographs of his son's open casket were published. If a subject does have a reasonable expectation of privacy, lack of consent to have photographs taken and published is a defense to an invasion of that privacy. Photojournalists should know that their conduct may lead to infliction of emotional distress to those involved. In deciding whether to take and publish a questionable photograph, many factors must be considered. There are people from indigenous and/or more remote cultures who still believe that the taking of a photograph is akin to stealing a part of the soul. In addition to this, there are ethical concerns around photographing the private religious ceremonies and rituals of others. Whatever the cultural norms and rules may be, they need to be heeded and respected.
So when you talk about a belief, I don't think there's anything recorded, written, photographed, or recorded on recording machines. So when you talk about spirituality, it's a feeling. It's a communication and contact with the Creator, with the ancestors, and I don't think we want to disrupt anything.
Whether it's tourists taking seemingly harmless photographs or professionals doing their job, everyone needs to become more mindful of the implications and potential consequences of their actions whenever they take and publish someone's photograph. Privacy can be willingly relinquished, and usually such a loss will not be thought to involve a violation of one's privacy. It is only when this loss occurs in an immoral fashion that a violation takes place.
I was asked by a magazine whether or not I had, if they could publish images of the one particular monk that we were traveling with, and sort of, we're trying to capture a window into his view of life in Myanmar/Burma, and yeah, we didn't think it would be a good idea really, because who knows? We don't want to contribute to him going back to jail and stuff. He had an amazing history of not really an easy life. Like we generally, I don't think we take for, well, I don't try not to take it for granted, but he's had a very different, challenging life than we have. So we didn't want to jeopardize that, and it was pretty easy to say, well, no, I don't think we should publish it. It's like, well, I might make $100. I mean, the photo rates these days, you don't want to risk someone's life for $100. So clearly, and whether or not it was $1 million, I want to hope that my view wouldn't really change.
Every traveler who takes photos and every photographer who travels needs to be sensitive to the local culture, including religion and customs. Take the time to check out laws or policies prohibiting photographs being taken, for example, at churches, temples, mosques, and museums. Get permission, if at all possible, before taking someone's photograph, and if the person says no, respect that. Watch body language also, as no is sometimes communicated non-verbally. Be especially mindful of photographing children. You should have the permission of the parent or guardian. And lastly, consider carefully the implications of the photo for the person or site pictured. Could the person in the photo be subject to violence or political repercussions because of the photo? If so, you would be well advised to protect their privacy by abstaining from taking the photograph.
I turned my camera on, I cut my fingers on the way, the way of slipping away. I turned my feelings on, you made me untouchable for life. Yeah, yeah.